Hello again, everyone. Hope you're well on this Saturday morning. It is supposed to be up to like 73 degrees here. I know. I'm going to keep making you guys jealous. A lot of y'all. I know if you guys in the north, even the upper Midwest, you're probably a good 30 to 40 degrees colder than we are here. Winter is supposed to return early next week, Monday, Tuesday. So it's like fake spring. This is our fake spring, we call it here. Anyway, hey Teddy, what's up? How you doing? Spaz man, you looking outside? Definitely want to, if nothing else, piddle around outside a little bit today because, man, it is nice. Sun's trying to come out even. All right, I have several things to cover here. We need to ignore the toxic. I believe that we are under attack in a way that you may not realize or may not, we don't hear about much. But it is very real. I'm going to go into that. I also still have Super Bowl concerns. I have big concerns about tomorrow. I truly do. Y'all, I really do. I saw a great idea of what to do with the abandoned shopping malls. The traditional mall, the shopping mall, it's just not much of a thing anymore. I know in certain places you still have malls that are still functional. I know here there's not really one that close to us. I know in closer to Atlanta, there is the Mall of Georgia. It's still functional, but I won't get into that mess. That's for sure. I'm not even going to drive down into that stuff if I don't have to, right, Teddy? You okay? You just want to leave? You just want to go find Ella? And go find Ella and pester her? Okay. You have a good haircut there. All right, I'm going to let you go. All right. But first, we call out the dumb stuff, the bad, the negative stuff that Trump does. And I don't like what I saw yesterday where, and I barely remember hearing about this lady, but this Paula White, he is naming as head of the White House, what he's called the White House Faith Office. This is supposedly his longtime spiritual advisor, Paula White. Apparently she is a televangelist. And I barely remember hearing about her before. I think she was close to him in the first term as well. And I'll just say before I go much further into this, I believe he's learned a lot of lessons from his first term. And for the most part, I really like the people he has surrounded himself with compared to the first term. He's definitely done his homework. He's come loaded for bear in this second term. And in 2 weeks, buddy, he's really, wow. And think about it. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up hour by hour, much less in days or weeks. But anyway, this one is one's a bad one. I don't understand it. It puzzles me, but apparently she preaches prosperity. Apparently has a mega church in Florida somewhere. Preaches that if you donate large, precise sums of money to her church, it will ensure your salvation. Man. No, and as my verse of the day towards the end of this video will indicate, that is not the case. That is not the case. And the Bible strictly warns of people like this. I'll go into that later. But kind of reminds me a little bit of kind of Joel Osteen-ish, maybe worse. He might be worse than him. I don't know. What do y'all think? I'm sure I'll get some comments on that. But prosperity preacher, televangelist, twisting the gospel for profit. And now I've never heard this lady preach. I've heard of her. I faintly remember from the first term. We don't watch televangelists, so I've never listened to any of her speeches, sermons, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going by what I've researched and what I'm hearing from you guys in the comments and such. but I did a little bit of research with about her yesterday, this morning, and there's so many good traditional pastors that he could have picked for this spot, as a spiritual advisor. If I'm president, man, there's so many to pick. Somebody traditional, a male that is a good role model, but also a traditional Christian follower of Jesus, preaches that. That's who I'm gonna stay close to if I'm president of the United States. Somebody like I don't know, a J.D. Farag type person, or a Franklin Graham, somebody on that. It doesn't have to be those people per se, but somebody like that. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? There's so many out there that he could have leaned on. Or that young man who was so charismatic during the inauguration ceremony. I forget his name. The young man. He was just so full of energy. Somebody like that, even. Somebody like that, he would be awesome. I want somebody like that around me. Somebody you trust, somebody that can give you that spiritual advice, that guidance, that you can trust. This lady doesn't sound like that person. Okay, so we will call that out. We don't like that. I don't like that at all. Like I said yesterday, I agree with most everything he does, but he is human, and we can pray for him too. We can pray for him. Absolutely, we should. I'm praying for him tomorrow too, because tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday, he made it public that he is going to attend the Super Bowl. So that in itself is a concern. I'm sure security is going to be like big time, but still, again, New Orleans was the site of the January 1 terrorist attack. It's a spectacle, and you can make an argument, well, that's why they're not, a terrorist won't strike, that they'll strike when you're not expecting it. I can see that too. But there's going to be over 100,000 people crowded into this space, into this place, y'all, New Orleans. And I just pray nothing happens, nothing bad happens. I just pray that, but it's become, the Super Bowl has become just this, the spectacle that, oh, by the way, a football game is actually played, apparently, which I doubt. I don't even know if I'll keep up with it. I probably won't, but I don't watch much NFL anymore, pro football. The only thing I do like to keep up with some Georgia Bulldogs who are in the NFL now. I do like to keep up with how they're doing. The ones that I like, that seem like they're good examples, seem at least like good humans. So I do keep up with them. But anyway, also, I think we are being attacked in ways that I'll go into that in a minute. And of course, I got a good verse for you, so stay tuned for that. But abandoned malls, the shopping mall. I saw this online. This is perfect. A good what to do with abandoned shopping malls, because they're becoming dinosaurs. They're vacant. All the stores are gone, and I miss it. I miss being able to go somewhere where it's kind of an all-in-one. It had a food court. It had the places you needed to get stuff. You could people watch. You can get you an ice cream cone or a snack, find a bench. If you can find a bench, back in the days, it's hard to find a bench, and chill with a Coca-Cola and just watch people walk by, great people watching. But it was calm back in the day. It was calm. It was orderly. It could be crowded, but people, they're talking, they're having person-person conversations. They weren't all glued to their cell phones, not knowing where they're walking. It was a different time. It was really a time to be alive. It really was, y'all. I miss those days. But this social media post said, turn the abandoned malls into Generation X retirement homes. 2 to 3 stories tall, with a food court, arcade, movie theater, Spencer stores, glamour shots. I remember that too. Excuse me. But yes, the arcade, I spent, there's no telling how many quarters I spent in the arcade back in the day. The Gold Mine Arcade. Remember that, y'all? The Chick-fil-A, the only place you could find a Chick-fil-A back in the day was the mall. And the food court had other stuff too. All the little shops, the stores, the big department stores as well, if that was your thing. You could see a movie while you're there. You could go out to eat while you're there. All in the mall. I mean, it was all in that, all within a couple of football fields size or smaller. The smaller malls were even better. Ignore the toxic. Ignore there, y'all. And I'm not exaggerating. The toxic is in person, but it's very prevalent online too, as you probably have seen. But I think that's where we're really getting attacked is online. In person, I'm going to spend a minute talking about it in person, but just in my personal experiences, just in the last 2-3 weeks, and I know y'all say it every now and then, the scowl on people's faces, the like blood in the eyes, brood, scowl faces, almost non-human or something. I don't know what is going on with people. I know people are stressed and all that kind of stuff. The world is very complicated now compared to what it used to be. And I understand that. But, it's like civility. Civility has left us. And then it still exists out there. It still does. You still run into a person, the people that are nice and smile and all that. But man, it's harder to find, y'all. It's harder to find to where it used to be very, very common. I mean, let me know what you think, but the people are rude. I mean, bless their hearts. I mean, twice in the last 2 weeks, I got out of my truck and there was a truck just like mine or very similar, maybe a different color, but the same type of truck as mine parked very close, and the occupant is in there or getting out, and I made a comment like, "Hey, nice truck," it's like, like it looks like mine, like, can we have some camaraderie for just 2 seconds? Like, hey, nice truck. And they looked at me like I was like some kind of a alien or something. Like one guy kind of was like, hey, I don't know, maybe they have social difficulties. I don't know. But it was just kind of rude. It came off as rude, but, let's just say thank you. I was like, hey, nice truck. Just say thank you if nothing else. Say thank you. That's all you got to do. I'm not trying to have a 15-minute conversation. I'm just trying to be civil. Be a real person. Be like a regular person and say, hey, thanks. Yours is cool too. I love it. But it was like, and I think part of that is where we live. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I mean, the immediate area we live in is semi-rural, and most people are okay right here. Now, if you go 8-9 miles down the road, we have to go that far to get to the closest store, grocery store, whatever, restaurant. Not really much restaurants right here either. But anyway, even the closest grocery store, you have to go down about 8-9 miles or so. That is where it turns. I mean, in other words, this is where the rudeness comes in. And I think some of that, the area, I mean, we are getting a huge influx of people trying to escape metro Atlanta, and other parts of the country, even outside the country. But it's a lot of people who are, the snob factor is pretty high. Just be a regular person, be real, come on. But what I don't like about it even more is it makes me almost want to just avoid anything, any kind of contact and doing anything, reaching out or saying it, or even smiling or, like the smile nod, we used to do. It kind of makes me not want to even do that and have the rude face myself, like I just want to go in somewhere and just not even just avoid the people altogether, not even go. Order it online. I don't know. It makes me want to do that, but I don't want to do that. And I'm not going to do that because that's not what I am. I think we should be ourselves. Be yourself. I don't care even if somebody's rude. Just keep doing what you do. Don't let it change you. Don't let it change you. But avoid the toxic. In other words, don't entertain it. If somebody is toxic, if somebody is rude, demeaning, bye. Run the other way. Run the other way. Don't entertain it. Don't invite it. Don't let it. Don't keep coming back for it. Don't need it. Do yourself a favor. Do your mental health a favor. Your spiritual readiness a favor. And don't entertain it. Even if it's somebody that's been close to you and they've turned and they've gone nuts, which people have. Even in person, especially is what I'm talking about now. Even online. It's really something else. Maybe it's part of the end of days. I don't know. It might be. If you read a lot into Matthew, it talks a lot about that. Seems like we're experiencing it. But don't let it change you. Be an example. Be who you are. That's my biggest advice. I'm still going to do what I do, and if they're rude, they're rude. Bless them. I don't like it, but I'm really trying not to let it change me. I really am. Now, online is a different animal. Online, I believe it's a very intentional attack, especially from the nefarious forces, and I believe that's because they know. Especially those of us who are more traditional, who voted for a change this past November, I believe they know we hang out a lot online too. And that's one of those places they can try to get at us, right? So their influx, they're making a major push into all the social media things, okay? I know dumb me, I made I joined, I'm not even going to go into details, but I joined a Facebook group. That's a special interest of mine. It's something it's like a hobby of mine. And I asked an honest question, and you wouldn't believe the responses of that, y'all. It's really something else. It's an honest, good question that I posed. I'm just trying to be thought-provoking and get people's opinions. I didn't get one constructive response. And I gave it 24 hours, y'all. I gave it 24 hours. It was all demeaning, silly, stupid memes and rude. I mean, just absolute toxic. I mean, it was something. I was, even this day and time, I was a bit surprised. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm naive and thought I would get real responses. I didn't get one, y'all. And this group is large. I left it out there. I didn't delete it or nothing. I still haven't gotten any responses. Maybe that's Facebook too for you. I don't spend much time on Facebook anymore. I am on there to keep up with longtime friends and such as that a little bit, and some family. But that's really the main thing we're still on there with, for Facebook. But silly me, I tried to do something different, and that's what happened. But we see it in YouTube, of course, too. And I don't believe they're all bots. I don't think they're all robots. I think some of them could be, but I believe they're real people. I really do, and I think they're toxic, and I think it's an intentional thing to flood it, to get it under us. I really do. You ignore it. It's going to be there. I don't care if you do a video on how green the grass is, or whatever you want to. You could post a 5-second video about how to go out there and be a good person, and you're going to get the toxic. You're going to get an evil demon from hell that jumps up out of the pit of hell and attacks you. So that's going to happen. That's part of the territory. But we just need to ignore it. Don't go back and forth. I've stopped doing that. I used to do that. I used to do it just for a little fun. Depends on my mood, but I don't anymore. I dismiss it totally, and run the other way. Run the other way. You can rebuke it if you want. I just usually do away with it, and I rid myself of it. Have nothing to do with such people. It says that in the Bible somewhere too, I believe, right? Okay, I've probably gone on about that a little too much, but anyway. I'm going to go to the passage, because I'm going to make this too long if I don't. The passage is Matthew. I was just talking about Matthew, wasn't I? Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, and I may go a little longer because that's what I do, right? Matthew chapter 7, verse 15 says, "Watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. Whew. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit you will recognize them." You will recognize them, and we do. Amen. There's a lot of false prophets out there. In many ways, y'all. Stay away from it. Don't let it infest you. Don't let it bring you down or tear you down. Don't let it do it. All right? Share your thoughts. Let's stay positive. Let's keep uplifting one another. Let's be positive. Let's build one another up. Don't tear down people. Let's try to make a conscious effort of it. And I need to as well. Right there with you. We're human. All right. Stay close to Jesus. God bless y'all. I'll see you soon.